Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy 2025. I hope you all are doing well. I hope that this new year is off to a brilliant start for you and your family and your friends and everything that you hold near and dear to you. All right, so today I do have a fresh set of cards here that are hella slippery, as you will see shortly. But we're just gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna really, I know I always say this, but it's really my intention to keep it short and sweet. I actually intended to do a couple of short and sweet messages, but we'll see how that pans out. Maybe I'll slip back on tomorrow and do another one, but we'll see how it flows today because these cards are slippery, so I don't anticipate having a great deal of control, but I'm going to do the best that I can. Okay. All right, let's see what we got on the bottom. Ooh, High Priestess, and I realize I think that it's best that I kind of bring it up first real quick just to give it some light. High Priestess on the bottom. What's this peeking out in the middle? The Two of Wands. Some type of secret plan? Or a plan of action that's being kind of kept under wraps. So you might have some new year, new you plans already underway, and you may either be very protective of them, which I don't blame you, smart thinking, wise thinking, or you're just not really too anxious to share much of what your plans are before it actually comes to fruition, which is also very wise. Especially in this season, it's probably best to kind of work your plan and let the fruit of your labor and the rewards and harvest of your intentions kind of speak for themselves, if they even need to speak or be publicized or be shared publicly, i.e. social media, on that level, or even just amongst friends, quote unquote, and not in a sense of paranoia or being too defensive or protective per se, in a way that evokes fear, in itself, where you're afraid that if you share, something bad's going to happen, or somebody's going to take your idea, or fearful or anxious about sharing something before it becomes a thing, and just in case it doesn't, or things don't work out. It's not really given that, although all of that has its place, or at least has had its place, I'm sure, at a time. It's really just giving being protective, and being protective and what's another word? It's not solitude or seclusion. I guess maybe being a bit secluded, sacred. That's what it is. Absolutely, with the Queen of with the High Priestess here, is keeping your plans, your intentions, your actions sacred. What's that scripture? Don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing, or whichever way it goes. Don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. I think either one applies. Like sometimes you just need to kind of just move in silence, like lasagna. I never understood that. I never understood that phrase, Maybe I got it wrong, but you get the point, okay? So anyway, yeah, so there's some type of sacred plans that are underway, and I would say must already be in motion for me to be so, so fixated on that point. So let me be quiet, right? So I don't draw too much undesirable attention to it. But if that is the vibe that you're on, and you may even be contemplative about whether or not you need to bring in other energy, or if you're being too protective, or you know, treating things with, too much sensitivity, I would venture to say, if you have the inkling to be more sacred, more secluded, more secretive, more self-contained, perhaps even, then flow with that. Flow with that. There's a reason that you feel that way, and I would lean into it. Okay. But nonetheless, best wishes on whatever it is that you're doing. I would say it has a very strong. There's clearly a reason why there would be it would be necessary, or like at least understandable, to kind of be protective in this sense, because the high priestess is no joke. That's like that's kingdom business, if that's what we're talking about, or even a mission or purpose. Or you may even feel, because the Two of Wands is even about choosing a very definite direction, maybe even something different than what you've done in the past or what people have known you for. And maybe perhaps there's a bit of a sacredness or protectiveness around that, because it's not really clear how people might perceive your choice or your direction, or there may be opinions to, I just heard persuasive opinions, pervasive opinions about your choices, and about how you are being guided to walk a certain path, or to just live your life in general, whether it's professional, personal, at any range of possibilities and choices that are underway. The Two of Wands is definitely about taking action on a plan, an action on a choice or a direction confidently, and certainly with the High Priestess, knowing that there's some level of protection, covering, guidance, and anointing, I would say, over whatever direction you're headed in. So if you're one of those folks that sometimes feels like it would be nice to have a second opinion, or to kind of tap in even with a good friend, or a sounding board of yours that you've been that you're more or less, or have been comfortable checking in with, just to kind of like, get a second opinion, so to speak, this might not be the time for that. I'm gonna just go right ahead and say that. Trust your instincts. Wands can definitely be about instincts, especially with the High Priestess. It's a knowing that's already embedded in your soul and in your spirit, where whatever it is that you're deciding to do or feeling guided to move on, it's as foolproof as it's going to be, until you allow yourself to go and see the outcome, if that makes sense. So let's keep going. Let's see what we got here. Oh, we got the high. I'm gonna take them upright, because they're gonna be sliding all over the place, as you can see. Everything that I said, this is a confirmation right here. With the Hermit card, this is mastery, ascended mastery. This is guidance and an inner knowing, from I would say a high level perspective. Either this is someone that has already kind of done the work internally and maybe even externally. We're talking about Virgo energy here. You may have done the research. You may have, crunched the numbers. You may have kind of scoured the market for your competition, or other things that are comparable in the market. If we're talking about business, I don't know why I'm veering into business, but Virgo energy can be work. So it could be something like that, or really just hone your own craft, like not hone your own craft, but like um dare I say perfected your own craft, so to speak. So it's like when you're in hermit energy, it's either that you have done the work to establish yourself in an expert position, or in just a very high level vantage point of experience, and maybe even knowledge, or you are positioned in such a way where you have the access, you have all the access that you need to answer the questions that might arise without, as I was saying before, feeling like you have to tap into old systems that may or may not be as reliable or as, out dare I say, trustworthy, um, or as efficient. Because it's like, what I'm getting is that if you can relate to this message, you might be someone, again, that's veering off into a territory that is strange for you, not because you're not familiar with it or aren't skilled in it, because this card doesn't say that. It says quite the opposite, that you are, or you're on your way to that skill set. But say it's like a new, it's a new, let's say it's a new market, or it's a new field or industry, so to speak, that, and some new capacity of your personal expression, let's say, to keep it broad, that is maybe different than how you typically express yourself in the past. Like, say you're literally going from working in a corporate setting to being an entrepreneur, and you're about to, you're about to, with the high priestess, so it's hard for me to kind of make it so practical, but I guess just flow with me for a second, because the high priestess and the hermit give it a different type of spin. It's something deeper than that, that might even be a bit uncomfortable, maybe even a bit taboo in a sense, for you to express, because it's so off the grid of what you're used to being and expressing, or how others may be used to even receiving you, that it's kind of even taking you a little bit of time to feel comfortable professing or pronouncing this identity, or this field of work or expression, or whatever it is. And so what I'm trying to get to is that you kind of have to just follow that instinct at this time, because if it's so new to you that you are new to you, then you have to consider that it might, those old systems of checking in and like that weigh-in system of, to, if to feel secure, even to check into social norms or social standards that may have more or less served as some type of guideline of reason and standard for you in the past, may not be so efficient, because it's like trying to check in with someone on something that they don't have any real point of reference for, or even checking into okay, it's like you are you've mastered the art of, shoot, how can I say this? Like, it's like you've mastered a certain artistry or a certain expression, let's say, of, here we go, pardon me. You've let's say you've mastered your art, your brand of singing in whatever genre it is that you choose to express. Let's say R&B or gospel or something like that. It's like you have your own brand of this expression, and trying to get someone's opinion that's more that may be skilled in a certain type in their own right, let's say maybe in rock or classic music or jazz, like something completely different, or maybe just an artist in some other discipline, like literally painting or dancing. It's like like checking in with an artist of another discipline or another expression to give you sound advice and to almost like validate you. There it is. It's something about validation that is not going to come from the ways that may be typically suitable or soothing to the soul, especially when you're looking to kind of present yourself in some new form. Because someone that is disciplined in dance doesn't necessarily have the transferable skill sets to advise you in singing. Now, there are some things that could transfer and translate, but holistically, there's a difference. You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of have to trust your instincts, your training, your practice, your the work that you've put in, and allow that to be stabilizing, securing, and confidence building for how you present yourself and express yourself. When you do decide, or however you do decide, to present publicly or on a platform, a stage, whatever this gets to be, or just to feel confident enough to allow yourself to operate in the function of, let's say, a professional or a master without needing the validation of any outside source. Because what I'm getting to is that there's nothing and no one that can really validate you in this season at this time more than what your experience, your training, and your proven results will validate you, how it will validate you. There's no person, place, or thing outside of that that's going to be able to say, yeah, you got it. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. Yeah, you're on the right track. It's just, if that's something that's needed in this season for you, all I'm saying is you might be hard up to find it. And if you stretch to reach for it in places that are familiar, you either might find yourself to be disappointed, or maybe distracted or deterred altogether from a path that you're just supposed to be on, and as I said in the very beginning, it might not even be time, if ever, to even share such sensitive material with others, when it's in the stage that it's in at this time, when it's more delicate and more impressionable, or maybe even you being more impressionable, less you might just find yourself in a position to feel held back, or to impose more resistance on yourself, and your plans moving forward as desired than necessary. So just trust yourself, trust your instincts. You got the skills, you've got the training, you've got the talent, you've got the support system from ethereal sources, with the high priestess. And more importantly, you have, like, with the Virgo energy here, it's like you have the physical, not just the metaphysical, but the physical efficiency of whatever it is that you endeavor to stamp, your rate of approval or your validation as the real deal. You don't need anybody else to tell you that at this point. Yeah, here's the Page of Cups, like kind of, and this is like a bit of a needy energy, like very sensitive. It is a message, but it could be two ways. It could either be the energy that I'm speaking of, where you almost feel like you're in the market for validation, or for people to flatter you or tell you how great you are, or just looking for that sense of security to know that there's some appreciation outside of yourself for what you're doing, lest you feel delusional for walking the way that you are. But it could also be like just the least of what really is available to you, where at the hermit level and the high priestess level, it's like, what is a page of cups message or energy or offering really going to add in terms of value that you don't already have? It's again like soliciting advice from a novice or from someone that just doesn't have the experience or skill set in what you're doing to really be able to add value. And given this is water energy, and I'm saying it is something a little deeper than that, this is the shallow end of the pool with the page of cups. The high priestess is deep. She has a deep knowing and an intuition and like a emotional intelligence that is seasoned by experience, by trial and error, by tribulation, by inner navigation and soul searching, and even in connection with supreme source and submission to. This is like bringing it back down to want to gain that position of trust within, the spirit and natural world, to kind of be set free to make certain decisions and to move about in a certain type of way of independence that doesn't really need to be coddled or handheld by anything or anyone. But this is taking it back to an energy that needs to be spoon fed, that needs to be changed and burped. And, it's like you don't want to take yourself back to this energy. Let's say psychologically, like psych yourself out into thinking, oh, well, I'm not ready yet, or I need a little bit more guidance or more support or whatever. And you also don't want to align yourself with energies that, as well meaning as they may be, just don't have the capacity to really advise you, let alone validate you on a level of mastery of which you are, or professionalism, or skill that you've already attained. It's like, birds out the nest now, you know what I mean? As strange as it may feel, here's the moon card. There's still some mysteries that may seem to be that may be unfolding at this time, but this could also be that expression of fear of the unknown. But in this case with the hermit, that's behind them. That's behind him. And if this is you, if you relate to that energy, it's like the fear of the what ifs and the unknown and what's next and what you don't know. Like, it's you've moved past that at this point. You've moved past that. And anything that, like I was saying before, it's like if you don't already know, you've kind of like disciplined yourself with the skill sets, the tactics, the strategies to gain enlightenment wherever there is a need for it. So it's literally just no room for fear at this point. Wow, with the 10 of Pentacles at the bottom. Yeah, like this is being fully equipped with all the talent, all the gifts, all the knowledge, all the support, all the resources. And this is familial. This is, I'm getting, it could be celestial with these pentacle energies being stars. And it's the completion. It's like there's really nothing left to be desired in terms of what you personally possess or have access to. This also could be like a great windfall of reward and abundance and profit even coming on account of the courage and the bravery to just execute whatever plan it is that you have in mind. Like this is like confirmation that what is unknown at this time in terms of like, am I moving in the right way? Is my plan solid? Do I have a firm foundation? To me, this is given a strong yes. Like a strong. I mean, most of this has been, but if anything could be more of a prosperous sign, the 10 of Pentacles in a material sense is an absolute. That means that whatever it is that you are maybe taking a risk on, a gamble, even betting on yourself, investing in your plan, and investing in your gifts and talents, building your business, expanding an enterprise or a legacy. Like, this is a very positive projection of how much it's worth. You know what I mean? Like, how profitable this is, how much there is to gain on the other side of your courage, or by walking in the courage that you're already standing in, or projecting. So let's see. Like, to me, that's like, yeah, look at this. And with the full card, definitely just walk on into that unknown. There is really no secret here. With the high priestess, like, the high priestess has the key to enter to hidden knowledge, you know. So like I said, even with the hermit, it's like, however it is that you gain insight or gain enlightenment is foolproof. You know what I mean? Like, there must be some very disciplined way that you, or even if it may not even be disciplined, it might be look a little wild on the outside, you know, from the outside looking in, or just, you may even look like somebody that doesn't have a plan, that just flies by the seat of their pants. But little is it known that you got all your ducks in a row, and that part of you that is ambitious enough to kind of just take leaps of faith, or make leaps and bounds in directions that almost seem, you know, mystical, is the part of you that is masterful, if that makes sense. You know, that sheer ability to see an opportunity and kind of leap into it, almost taking quantum leaps into success in ways that some people may, you know, mill over many times over, you know, in fear, and, you know, and in the fear of the ambiguity of it all, or the uncertainty of it all, where you might be someone that will just bet on yourself and bet on the divine of which you submit to know that whatever instincts, again, are guiding you in a certain direction can be trusted, and you can be trusted to trust them, if that makes sense. It's like a very co-creative experience here. You know, it's like you have gained the trust of the divine to move and shake in a certain way, because of how you have moved and shaken in certain ways, that in times when things were unknown, and you've trusted the divine when you may not have been able to see your hand in front of your face, let alone the next 2, 3, 5, 10-year plan ahead of you, or how it may pan out if you were to take the jump. So because of that you know, that unwavering level of faith, that in itself is probably the type of mastery we're talking about, especially with the high priestess, this devotion and commitment to the divine, that ultimately is the reward. You know, it is, how can I say this, like, when you are in submission to the divine in that type of way, especially in seasons of unknowing and uncertainty, it pours into you in such a way. And here it is, as to why I was saying there's certain things that can't be validated and certified, especially by other humans, you know, for whatever the relationship may be worth, or whatever the reverence of the source may be. When you have access to divine knowing and transmission and knowledge, that validation really just trumps everything in an earthly form and in an earthly realm. You know, like, once that level of trust inner trust, inner knowing, and then, the exchange itself is established, there's really not a lot effing with it. You know what I mean? It's like again, it's like you being tapped into the divine, into God itself, and knowing that there is a direct pipeline of information that you can literally just call in at any given time. If you want to know if you're moving in the right direction, or you're making the right decision, or if this is something trustworthy, or if this is a wise direction, or whatever the case may be. It's like when you have that direct transmission at, like literally having Jesus on the main line telling them what you want, and it literally being like a clear exchange. You're going to go to your cousin to ask what you should do. You're going to run it by, the homies to just see what their thoughts are. It's like, you could, but what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, you let them find out on the back end how it all turns out, and then they'll be asking you how you did it, or how they pulled this off, or what your strategy was, or whatever the case may be. But I'm talking to somebody, or some folks that, got a strong intuition, a strong knowing, a strong sensibility, and also great instincts. And it's not just because you literally, like I said, just jump out the window and fly off the seat of your pants. This has been tried, tested to be true unto the divine, because of the trials and tribulations you may have incurred, maybe even, moments when you have not trusted yourself, and you found out what happens when you do that, or when you don't do that, and it's conditioned you in a Christ conscious type of way, where there is nothing higher in the earth comparatively. And not to say it's like I know you know what I'm saying, so I'm not even going to go there. But in terms of what is best for you, there really is no point of reference that divine doesn't send to you directly and say, this is something you should tap into. Even that is kind of like filtered through your own personal discernment, to know who your teachers are, who your secure sources are, who your points of reference may be, your sources of information, and your resources of guidance, or even sounding boards or whatever. Like, everything kind of runs through your own internal knowing before it even manifests in the physical. And I'm just here to tell you that while that may seem kind of wild, it might look a little wild to others on the outside. It may even seem wild to you. Even hearing me say that kind of seems kind of wild to me. But I know it is what it is as far as I'm concerned. But saying it out loud is like almost kind of wild, to say that there's really no one in the earth that you would necessarily look to advise you, in a sense, 3:33 on the clock as I'm saying that, when you've already kind of established a clear transmission of truth between yourself and the divine. Everything else then becomes almost like a translator of that truth, or some type of like confirmation on the back end, on the other side, but your instinct, your knowing, your intuition, your emotional intelligence is paramount, period. And it's not because, again, I want to stress this, it's because of the connection that's been established on a divine level. For those that feel that sounds like blasphemy, like God directs my steps. Yeah, absolutely. Higher self, supreme self, God, however it is you see that that elevated expression of you, beyond you, intangible you, that ultimately is transmitted through the physical you, is absolutely of high reverence, high priestess, as we saw in the very beginning. But the high priestess knows that. That's a knowing, that's an automatic, that's just a way of life for someone that walks, man or woman, that walks in a high priestess energy. There's a devout and irrefutable submission to that truth, just as much as it is an acceptance of it on the inside out. And that's what makes a high priestess a high priestess, because there's not a necessity for anything in the physical world to reflect to he or she that is acceptable, it, doctrine or religion or a way of life. It just is. And because it's accepted as as an absolute, that expresses itself in the physical life as, you know, that expression of that knowing that becomes fruitful, that is made manifest to kind of show you why not only you should trust yourself in that reality and in that truth, but why the divine finds you trustworthy to be trusted with it as well. So it's kind of like all works hand in hand. If you know, you know. But it all comes back to what I'm saying, that whatever your instincts are and whatever this next chapter, leap of faith, direction, plan of action, intention may be, you are well within your rights to feel secure to follow through. Whatever it is that you're already doing, you're well within your rights to stay on that path. All right, let's see what else we got. Cards aren't as bad as I thought. Wow, with the Emperor. Tell me that ain't about having total control. Like everything that I just said, that's about control and more or less creative control and conscious control over your physical existence, and also being so well controlled and contained that, again, what is the Emperor but also trustworthy with the whole kingdom, a whole, you know, like, if nothing else, definitely an influence on others, you know what I mean? Not to say like in charge or or in control over, but definitely influential, definitely governing in some way, or responsible, you know, at least deemed to be trustworthy with such a responsibility to make impressions on others. And not to say that that's necessarily what you may be doing or want to do. It could be, though, because I definitely spoke about business, so this definitely is the boss, the CEO, you know, this, again, the entrepreneur, the head man or head woman in charge. And it literally, masculine or feminine, the masculinity is really the assertiveness that really is being affirmed in this message, to really take creative control over what you're manifesting and what you're creating for yourself, knowing full well, you know, with all confidence. That's the key with the Emperor too, is having that creative confidence to know that, I mean, who else does the Emperor answer to in the earth, in this kingdom? He may have a council, he may have let's say a Congress or some consort of sorts, you know, but at the end of the day, the Emperor makes the decisions that the Emperor is responsible for. You can't blame it on nobody else, you know. And as I was saying before, like, even you making the decision to tap into other references or resources, is still your decision to make. It's not necessary, but it's still something that's within your power, as you see fit. A Knight of Swords, but it's like, again, these disparities that keep coming up, consorting with like your in this case, like Well, I guess it could be the case, you know. So here it is. Like this would be like consorting with your what do you call it? Um count getting counsel from your chief knight, but it's a word that I'm looking for here. Um General, your general, right? Especially given the medieval vibes, right? Of course, like, yeah, there's going to be some synergy of consideration and say in times of war, you know, or in terms of protecting the kingdom. So a good emperor or empress certainly knows, again, what resources or what um, experts or even other masters to align with for the most efficient outcomes, for sure. But if the kingdom go down, okay, you know, it's not going to be the general that the people are going to look to be the savior of the kingdom per se, or to rebuild, or you know, stabilize. It's going to be the emperor. So even as the emperor does have a lot of responsibility on their plate and on their shoulders, it certainly does speak to aligning yourself with the proper support systems and partnerships, and you know, just alliances, yeah, alliances that are uh that share the same intention, you know, because at the end of the day, the general of the army, you know, if this was a chariot, it would feel more like the general, but just rock with me here in terms of what I'm feeling. The Knight of Swords, who would be, you know, especially a tactical expert at war in this case, and the Emperor, more or less would be on the same page to protect the kingdom, unless there's some type of, you know, like, what do you call it, tyranny, or coup, or you know what I mean, like something going on, like like Game of Thrones, you know what I mean, where really the general wants to be the emperor. That's a different story. But hey, even to that point, it's important to kind of know who, or allow it to be revealed from the inside out, who really is in alliance and in allegiance to, if not the kingdom per se, but more so in allegiance to, or that is an alliance to whatever it is your purpose or intention may be for yourself. Doesn't mean that they have to absolutely, you know, because the general doesn't have all the duties and responsibilities as the emperor, but generally, in order for them to be a cohesive partnership, they will both have to at least have the intention in mind to protect the kingdom. So what that looks like is not being around people that are really looking to attack their own, you know, attack you or attack what you stand for, your character, like bring your whole operation down low key, but that, you know, you align with people that actually, even if they don't fully understand it, have a mind and a heart and a will to see your best interest for you. You know, like, I don't get it, but I support you. I got you. And hell, maybe even some people that don't get it might not be, that might even absolutely be the ones that you don't need to be sharing too much with in this season. And not because everybody has to get everything that everyone is doing, because that's just not how it goes. You know, like, some people are pioneers for a reason, to kind of just do whatever, you know, they're feeling guided to do, and then it catches on when it does, if it ever does. But it still means that in such a delicate time of creativity in the season that we're in, it does matter to be selective with who you have on your team. You know, whether they're working with you, somebody that just is supposed to, you know, that is support for the cause, partners, friends, acquaintances, creative consorts, all, whatever it is, like, everything has to be selective. And the emperor doesn't have really anyone to defer to in terms of decision making when it comes down to it. If he picks the wrong general and ends up being usurped by, some shady swordsman, you know what I mean, and gets his throne swept from up under him, he don't have nobody to really blame on that. You know what I mean? It's not, there's no finger pointing, there's no blame shifting. Like, everything in this season and probably until forever, for now, is that serious. So you could never be too sensitive, you could never be too protective, and you could never hold yourself or your standards and your plans too sacred. Whoa. Let's see what that, yeah, here's the sharing. Exactly. So this is what the community that can be affected or not, so again, there's just this heightened sense of responsibility that is accepted, when you know that you have certain gifts and talents and ideas and visions. Like, it comes with the honor, I would say, of impressionism. It's not a burden to me. It's a sheer honor and a privilege to be in a position where others can be positively affected by what you're doing. So again, that's the creation of a business that now can employ others or put others into some type of creativity for themselves, or even independence for themselves, or just by generating this level of independence in the earth realm itself is enough. If you never do anything professional or direct in corporation or business or whatever the case may be, if you are just a small business owner of one, with no employee, just that impression alone does affect the consciousness grid, I would say, because it's just one more affirmation of what's possible for others to attain for themselves. But this definitely does speak to, and all that I've been saying, someone that has a great deal of influence at their fingertips. That 10 of Pentacles industry, enterprise type of energy, that now you are helping it may be helping others open their own business, or it might actually be filtering down, like circulating. Yeah, that's what it is. Circulating prosperity to other creators or other influencers or other small business owners or big business owners. Like, it's literally generating a new frequency of energy, whether it be materially, as it definitely is defined here by the Pentacles, or energetically. And that is so important right now. Like, we need that. Yeah, we need that. And for it to be done in grace and in love and with humility, I would say, with the Knight of Cups here. Yeah. And it's also like a nod to that. I love that in the grand scheme of things. Like, somebody definitely has great instincts on who they choose to work with. So as much as I'm saying, like, be selective, be mindful, be careful, all that good stuff, I'm getting the sense that somebody has great instincts on who should be around them, who they are guided to help or support or influence, and who they may be less inclined to connect with in whatever way, shape, and form. Because this Knight of Cups coming off of that Knight of Swords is saying that, the Knight of Swords is in action when he needs to be in action. When it's time to be on the front line, or when it's time to go get it, to go conquer, whatever the case may be, protect the kingdom, he's there. But the Knight of Cups is someone that still has a level of loyalty and love and submission to the crown. or to, in this case, to the cause, or to, the commitment or the friendship or what the creativity, whatever it is. Like it's not really a matter of deference per se. It's more speaking about the difference with the emperor and the knights in this case is more speaking about who you are as the, or whomever relates to this as the chief creative officer of your life, and who other energies have and a, how can I say, like what positions they may be able to, what positions of influence they can actually occupy. Like you can't have two emperors over your own life. You know what I mean? It can only be you, and everything else is more or less a supporting role, supporting cast, or partnership or whatever, and no way, no shade whatsoever. So it's really, to me, I don't know why, I just felt my heart was just like soothed in this moment to see the Knight of Cups, because it feels like an oath or an offering of loyalty, like, so whomever you are, you know how to pick them. You know how to pick them. And I think it's important to say that too, because in this climate that we're living in, especially coming off of previous seasons, we feel almost inclined to trust no one. And I don't think that that's what is supposed to be the vibes, even though I'm saying, selectivity is key and all that good stuff. It's really about discernment more than anything. But and that discernment comes from past seasons and experiences and trial and error and tribulation and all that. Like you already have all of the information within you to know what feels like, a safe situation and what doesn't, what looks like it, and all that good stuff. And this speaks to the sensibility of your own nature as well, to kind of see something coming and know exactly where it stands or where it aligns or if it doesn't. But in this case, I'm feeling inclined to say that there's definitely a wisdom here that is trustworthy and well conditioned to know who you can align with. All right, so let's get one more, and also who you can help, because you can't help everybody in this season. I mean, you literally can't help everybody, or you will exhaust yourself. But some folks, even with the Six of Pentacles, are only looking for a handout. They're not looking to be helped for the sake of helping themselves. They're just looking to take whatever they can get, and that's also something else that has to be looked out for as you look out for yourself, because that's another aspect of selectivity, where you don't want to deplete yourself or your resources or your materials and actually miss an opportunity to help someone that is looking to be a help, not only to themselves, but also to continue that transmission and that generation of paying it forward. That's who is first in line to be helped in this season. Look at that. Here's the balance right here. Yeah, with the Four of Wands. Yep. So that we all winning. So that we're all winning. That's like the sanctity of the kingdom itself, I would say, with the Four of Wands. This was such a great message. I just kind of whimsically came to the table just now because I was like, I'll just start fresh on Monday. I don't want to jump in on a Saturday all random. But this is powerful. It's giving good energy for 2025 to start off, and I love it. This is where we are: balance, harmony, success. Like playing to win. Communal success. Not just I'm hoarding this all for me over here and you get it how you live. It's like, no, I'm going to make an impression. I'm going to be of service, but it still does matter how I do that and whom I do it for, and with whom I do it with, and whom I do it with, who I do it for and whom I do it with, if that makes sense. And that level of intention is what clinches the win. Four of Wands, where you can keep your own kingdom, so to speak, your own intentions, your own establishments, your literally your home space, your livelihood, your foundation secure. And that's the integrity also that lends to supreme security as well. You know, when you take when you accept that responsibility and you wield it in wisdom, that's what ultimately kind of keeps the fuel running, that insurance running, and security running on all that you feel is sacred to you. You know, all that is special and all that is worth protecting. You know, because this, I mean, if you look around just on what's being projected on the news and on, you know, social media and stuff, it's like how you could almost feel like, how is anybody safe? But this is how, by having supreme intentions. That's the only security in this season. That's the only, and bundling everything that you've learned in the past seasons in terms of what your sensibility pronounces to you personally, because that's the thing that that cannot be validated by anyone outside of you. Those sensitivities and sensibilities are your security measures, and weaved through, you know, your integrity and, you know, things of that sort. That's the only way. That's the only way. It ain't a cop in the land. It ain't a security system in the land, a ring camera in the land, you know, a gun in the land, you know, a mace in the land that can keep you more secure than your own personal integrity. And here we go back to the Two of Wands. Wow, with the World card. Yeah, just work your plan. And look at that, the world in his hand. Am I in the camera? Yeah, I think so. The world in his hand and the World card. So it's like literally the divine. This is deep confirmation, man. Something was closed out in such a profound way and successful way that it's literally like the divine giving you the reins. Like, here you go. Like, you got this. Not to say that there still isn't guidance and there still isn't security in, again, in that divine dynamic, but it's literally like up to the beholder of this great favor, you know, how much of it you really do accept and project and profess or not, because it's been passed over is what I'm getting. That's like divine autonomy is what I'm seeing, but it's literally pronounced in the earth. So everything that I said about like this, like supreme knowing that you can trust yourself, you can trust your instincts, the divine trusts you enough to literally give you lordship over creation as you have influence and impact upon it. Not all creation, not control, but to really give you a creative, like a creative green light to just do how you feel. Do what you feel. That's what this is giving right here. You have earned that righteous right. So don't look for anybody else to validate that for you, because it won't be in anyone's mouths and anyone's intentions, even having the best for you. It won't be in any heart or mind except for your own. It's if you so choose to accept it, and only if you choose to accept it. If you choose to reject it, then it is so, and then something or someone else will have creative control over your life, and that, I guess, will be fine too if that's what you choose. But this is saying that you are the man or the woman, and your track record, your resume, perhaps up until this point, has really proven you to have the skill sets and the strength and capacity to not only make make amazing brushstrokes concerning your own life, but also to generate and express a certain level of creativity in the earth that also somehow adds value to other people's lives. And that's like one of the greatest honors you could be given as an expression of divine creativity, to be now a creator with control. So do your thing. Whatever it is, do your thing. And be as secretive, as selective, and sacred as you feel guided to be so. And of course, share at your liberty as well. Because, I mean, this is the world stage here. And however you feel guided to exhibit that creativity is not only protected, but it is invited, more than you know. The old conditioning of feeling, limited and hampered in your creativity, as taboo and as strange and different as it may have been, is slowly but surely fading away, if not altogether, by your own admission, as soon as you say so. But, for however long you feel the need to keep it sacred, to keep it secure and sanctified, so be it. But you may be surprised by the applause and the admiration and acknowledgement of those expressions, more than you have been in seasons past. You might be pleasantly surprised to actually find how many people are rooting for you, or have just been waiting for what it is that you have to offer, whatever it may be. So I love this message. I love you. Godspeed. Best wishes in 2025. Don't let what you see and hear discourage you in any type of way, directly or indirectly. Just keep moving forward on however you feel guided. Work your plan, work your magic, your brand of magic, unapologetically. And as long as you're staying connected to a pure intention and purpose behind your force, you're unstoppable. Just plain and simple. All right. So thanks for listening and watching. I'll see you real soon, I promise. But for now, as always, I'll leave you with peace.